VAR did not fully investigate disputed Brentford equaliser at Arsenal. Brentford's equaliser in their draw with Arsenal was not fully investigated by the VAR panel, according to the Press Association news agency. Brentford's equaliser in their draw with Arsenal was not fully investigated by the VAR panel, according to the Press Association news agency. The Gunners were on course for victory against Brentford before Tony headed in an equaliser. Earlier in the move, a potential block from Ethan Pinnock, who was standing in an offside position, on Arsenal defender Gabriel Magalhaes as Matthias Jensen swung a free kick into the box, was checked and cleared by VAR. But PA understands the VAR team led by Lee Mason at Stockley Park did not fully investigate whether Christian Norgard, who was also apparently in an offside position later in the move, was offside before he provided the cross for Tony's goal. According to reports, Mason forgot to draw the lines, which would have shown Norgard was offside. Sky Sports News has approached the organization responsible for referees, PGMOL, Professional Game Match Officials Limited, for comment and clarity. Brentford's equaliser was allowed to stand on a day when VAR also ignored Chelsea's calls for a late penalty at West Ham when Tomas Soucek handled the ball and, in another error, match officials drew the wrong lines when disallowing a goal for Brighton in their draw at Crystal Palace. Arsenal's fixtures. Download the Sky Sports app. Get Sky Sports Live football on Sky Sports this week. According to the Daily Mail, Mason forgot to draw offside lines on Brentford's equaliser. PGMOL representative Chris Foy, who according to the Mail was in the VAR match centre at Stockley Park on Saturday, told the newspaper, VAR was looking to see if there was an offside and whether Ethan Pinnock had blocked off Gabriel in the build-up. He looked at the possible foul and decided there hadn't been one, and therefore referee Peter Banks hadn't made a clear and obvious error. However, in the build-up to the goal, Christian Norgard, whose cross Tony heads in, is in an offside position. However, the truth is that VAR didn't fully investigate with the lines. The lines, simply, didn't go down. And that counts as human error. Had the lines gone down, the goal would have been disallowed for offside. Mason was stood down from VAR duties for a round of Premier League fixtures in September after his error saw Newcastle have a goal disallowed against Crystal Palace. Please use Chrome browser for a more accessible video player. The Sun, meanwhile, said Mason was also involved in a wrongly disallowed Gabriel Martinelli goal for Arsenal at Manchester United the following day. Mason will discover if he faces a similar fate when the official appointments for next weekend's games are announced on Tuesday afternoon. Please use Chrome browser for a more accessible video player. Former Premier League referee Keith Hackett has called for VAR official Lee Mason to be sacked for failing to rule out a goal which has dented Arsenal's title challenge. Hackett's call to PGMOL chief Howard Webb comes amid fresh controversy surrounding the implementation of VAR, with Chelsea and Brighton also aggrieved at controversial decisions which went against them. The former official said in a Twitter post, Howard Webb is now in charge of the PGMOL. One of the first things he should do is dismiss permanent VAR operator Lee Mason. This weekend, Mason lets another referee down by not disallowing the Brentford goal for offside. These are decisions that VAR should get right. Please use Chrome browser for a more accessible video player. Mikel Arteta speaking after the 1-1 draw with Brentford, I just looked at it back and it is offside. We'll probably be given an explanation later in the week, but today we haven't got any. Looking at the images, you have to apply certain principles in defending, and you do that by sticking to the rules, and suddenly you apply different rules, then you have to change your principles. So tell us before, because then you don't hold the line that high, because you're always going to have an advantage if you get blocked. It's too late, the goal was allowed, we dropped 2 points. Meanwhile, PGMOL have apologized to Brighton after admitting the VAR made a mistake in disallowing Pervis Estupiñán's goal against Crystal Palace on Saturday. Please use Chrome browser for a more accessible video player. The lines drawn in the VAR room were drawn incorrectly and the goal should have stood. A Brighton club spokesman said, as was confirmed to the club by PGMOL, a serious error was made in disallowing Pervis Estupiñán's goal at Crystal Palace yesterday afternoon. The lines drawn in the VAR room to determine whether Pervis was in an offside position were drawn incorrectly, and the goal should have stood. While hugely disappointed by the error, the clubs accepted PMOL's apology and will not be making any further comment.